You guys. All right, Joy, thanks. Stay warm out there. It's time to go viral. Cristiano Ronaldo had this incredible goal yesterday. It got the attention of one LeBron James. Check it out. Are you not entertained? That's just not even fair. Nasty.
I'm just surprised LeBron didn't include sheesh in that, which has become his go-to word on all these Instagram and Twitter posts. It's become a joke around the league. We have had some unbelievable...
That shot.
Right there, Ronaldo?
Yeah, he's just...
Listen, man. No, I mean, he is a perfectly conditioned athlete.
Jenna, let's look at that quad. Look at that break. Look at that muscle
I was just going to say, but I thought you were going to think I was nuts. Look at his leg.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Yes.
So the guy who's maybe the greatest soccer player ever has muscular legs? This is what we're talking about.
I'm acknowledging and appreciating. This is what I'm doing. This is what I look like when I acknowledge and I appreciate.
Yeah, that's one of the best-looking men in the world, but also one of the greatest athletes. Like, I mean, he has the size, speed, and power typically that you don't see in soccer.
No.
Quickness, yes. Footwork, yes.
He's unbelievable.
Not the speed and
power. Not bad on the eye, though.
No. You know, I'm into big. You know, I like big athletes. You know, I mean, it's just...
That's why you're a Ronaldo fan over Messi.
Yeah, absolutely.
Little guy.
Little jitterbug. Yeah. Big, strong, powerful.
Jitterbug.
I'm getting the old move on, please.
Let's go to football.
Let's talk
American football.
Another jitterbug.
Patriots making moves this offseason. Yesterday, they shipped receiver Brandon Cooks to the Rams in exchange for the 23rd overall pick. While the Pats move is interesting, what's really interesting is what's next in New England. So they've got 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. Are they rebuilding? Are they moving up to get a quarterback? Who knows? So many questions. CC, what does this mean for the Patriots?
Number one thing it means is Brandon Cook, when they traded for him less than a year ago from the New Orleans Saints as a first-round pick, they gave up on trying to maximize his ability. Couldn't sign him to a long-term contract. Offered him a contract last year, but like Malcolm Butler, he turned it down. So they realized the Malcolm Butler thing didn't work out the way they did. He left with no compensation. We can't let Brandon Cooks leave with no compensation. And they got to replace him. They don't think Chris Hogan. They don't think Malcolm Butler is going to be able to, Malcolm Mitchell is going to come back to be able to replace his productivity. And it also means Rob Gronkowski. I would be shocked, knock me out of my chair if they move him. So in this draft, they have to target a couple holes that they have. Their left tackle, they have to fill that in the draft, and they have to get a quarterback of the future in the draft. So for me, man, I'm concerned with they were trying to win right now. With all those draft picks, I mean, I'm a little confused. This doesn't fit the model that I've seen in New England.
That's the thing that's so interesting. So because we talked right when this show launched, right before this football season, about how the Pats had gone about their offseason very differently. CCU put it as for the first time since this Brady-Belichick regime's been in place, they seem to be in a hurry. They were trading away future picks. They traded away not only a pick for Brandon Cooks, a pick for Coney Ealy. They were trying to win right now. And now while we're going to look back on this and say they won the transaction once again. They traded away the 32nd pick for Brandon Cooks, get a year out of him, and then trade him for the 23rd pick.
They didn't force themselves into a bad contract, something that they do well at.
Right, but what people need to realize is they have the extra pick from Jimmy Garoppolo, they have an extra pick from this, but they also lost their left tackle. They're going to draft a tackle in the first round. I can almost guarantee, whether it be Colton Miller or Mike McGlinchey, I don't know. They're both 6'8" guys, similar to Nate Solder. They have to fill that hole. They also have to fill the backup quarterback hole.
Yes.
So as far as, and are they going to be able to fill the #1 receiver hole? Not through the draft. When's the last time we saw a rookie wide receiver come on for a good team and be dominant? Like Odell did it, I suppose, but that team wasn't even that good. Like, it's very hard, even if you get the right player for a guy to come on as a rookie.
Yeah, New Orleans got lucky with Michael Thomas.
Yep. But by the way, they weren't good his first year. It took a year 2 when they were actually good.
But you understand why they're in a bit of a rush to try to get this done. They've got the future Hall of Fame quarterback who's probably on his last year or 2. They've got a coach they're not sure how much longer he's going to be there. So it's basically a win now.
But that's almost to me.
They should have kept Brandon Cook there.
That's to me an argument.
Well, they also should have kept Jimmy Garoppolo.
But the Jimmy Garoppolo thing isn't a win now part of it because you're saying win now because of Brady's window. I understand. You're right. They did try to get Cooks to an extension. But even without the extension, they have him under contract right now for $8.5 million. They could have kept him. What I am confident in saying is unless the Patriots do what I hope they do, but we know they won't, which is package picks for Odell, their wide receiving core is going to be worse next year than last year. It also means that, like you mentioned, the Gronk trade is totally off the table.
Yes.
Like what they have coming back is a 32-year-old Julian Edelman coming off an ACL, and Gronk, who's been in and out of, do I want to keep playing football?
Well, one of the rumors swirling is that they're going to package all these picks and move up and get a quarterback, which is why I thought it was crazy that they had this backup quarterback. But do you think that's a possibility now? Do you think that's something they're eyeing with all these picks they're amassing?
I would say there's probably 5 quarterbacks that they would take. It's, they have not done what they're supposed to do if they don't get a quarterback in the first or second round. Now, they have other holes that they might consider to be priorities. But Tom Brady can only do this so long. You forced Jimmy Garoppolo out. You didn't have to trade him. You didn't have to trade him. But you did. So you need to. Brian Hoyer is not an answer to any questions that are good. All right? And he is the backup there in New England, and you can't continue with being him as the answer in case Brady gets hurt.
I know you don't love when I do like a fantasy football comparison, but anyone that plays fantasy football, if you've ever been in an auction league where they say a player and then everyone says, oh, $20, $25, $30, sometime the guy who will never overpay for a guy is the guy who at the end of the auction is like, all right, I got $180 left and there's no players
nobody
left.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't overpay for anybody. Like, what the Patriots don't have is the Olivier Vernon contract like the Giants have to deal with right now. I'm sure they'd love to re-sign Odell long term. They got Olivier Vernon with a $17 million cap hit sitting there staring them in the face. The Patriots have, in my recollection, have never in the Brady or Belichick era had one of these albatross contracts. Oh, my God, why'd we sign him that? But when you do that, sometimes you want to keep Nate Solder, but you won't pay him that much. You want to keep Danny Amendola, but you won't even pay him the $6 million. You want to keep Brandon Cooks, but you won't pay him what he wants.
All these guys at the end.
And so they did go, CC, as you mentioned, from kind of being in a hurry to reversing course on this, even though I feel like they won the trade. You traded him. You traded away the 32nd pick.
You mentioned it earlier. They win the transaction.
They always win the transaction, but does that necessarily help them in 2018? I don't know.
Let's look at this from the Rams' perspective now. What do they get in Brandon Cooks, and how does that fill and complete their team?
Well, I said this, when you're putting together a receiving core, you want to have it like it be a basketball team. Meaning you want a point guard, which is the one. You want a shooting guard, a guy that's explosive, who can get you buckets. You want a 3, a guy who can play some defense, a grinder, a possession-type receiver. You want a 4, potentially can stretch it. You want a tight end, potentially can go down the middle. Those type of things. This gives them the speed that they want, but it also puts the maximum pressure on Jared Goff to continue to develop. The worst part of his game now is his deep throwing. The best part of Brandon Cooks' game is going down the field, leading the NFL in yards, completions over 20 yards in the 2017 season. So they're putting pressure on their young quarterback to continue to develop. They're also figuring that they can get Brandon Cook at this second contract at a price that they might be able to afford. Robert Woods is probably their best overall receiver. They got Kupp, the rookie, going into his second year, had a great rookie campaign, and they got the young quarterback, and behind them, they got Todd Gurley. So they have, when they get off the bus as an offense, I mean, Sean McVay, the head coach, he's got some toys and stuff that he can play with. So they add a lot of speed to that line.
Listen, the deep passing thing is the concern for Goff. If people were skeptical about why the Chiefs paid $48 million over 3 years for Sammy Watkins, the former Los Angeles Ram, the Chiefs believe he's a really good player whose quarterback could not get him the deep ball. There were 14 attempts last year to Sammy Watkins where the ball traveled more than 20 yards in the air. Jared Goff was only accurate on 2 of those 14 attempts, only completed 2 of those 14 balls. The other 12 were inaccurate throws. So he has to improve on that. Now, in his favor, he did improve. At year 1, he was top 10 in the league on throws behind the line of scrimmage, not top 30 in any throws 1 to 25 yards downfield. Last year, he got better. He still has not mastered or close to mastered the deep ball, so we'll see if he gets better on that. But why I understand what the Rams are doing is because there's a new paradigm in the NFL. Do you have a franchise quarterback on a rookie deal?
Right.
Or do you have anything else? Seahawks had that.
Yes.
Load up everything, go win a Super Bowl.
It's a great model.
Eagles had that. Load up everything, go win a Super Bowl. The Rams are saying, we know soon Donald, Gurley, Marcus Peters, Jared Goff, Brandon Cooks, all going to be owed money. So right now, let's try to load up and win a Super Bowl.
The one thing, Jenna, that you will like is Brandon Cook doesn't have the necessary negative attention. He has a very calm demeanor. He's a hard worker. He fit in great in New England. They didn't have one problem with him. He fit the New England way. They need a little bit that with the Rams, Bill, to mix in with that culture that they're putting together there in L.A.
Nice show, guys. Great
Absolutely.
day today.
This is a ton of fun.
Enjoy the rest of it. We'll see you back here
better
tomorrow.
for the Rams culture?
The Alamo.